Yeah.
Welcome to the section on running scrimmages and off-season events. So here's the QR code to PDF version of the presentation if you want to grab the slides. So go ahead and get next. This is an outline. Oh, it'll be at the end as well.
Oh,
But
I'll
you
just
can go ahead.
follow
Yeah,
along.
that's fine. No,
Thanks.
gonna be plenty of time to talk. So here's the outline. Why would you want to host a scrimmage? What are some of the challenges? The bulk of it is practical details and plans. And then I do want to have a discussion and Q&A. I could just hand this over to Ceiling and say, tell us what you know. And that would also be a very interesting session.
John's forgotten more about this than I know.
Okay, so that's the outline. Next slide. So brief introduction. I've got my team shirt on here, FTC 7393 electron volts. This is the last 2 years of the kids on the team. I swear this looks like their album cover out of there. Oh, yeah.
We gotta do that.
So the other coach is Tom Capon. We've been coaching FTC for 11 years. And so I work here at APL, right in that building over there. Tom works at Goddard. I'm a software developer / manager. Tom's an electrical engineer. And we hosted 4 scrimmages last year and we went to 3 other ones. I might have been 4. There was another one. Just trying to think about that. And we love them. It's really fun and we'll get into that in a little bit. So, okay, next slide. All right, so why host a scrimmage? Well, outreach is part of the judging criteria, right? So, so don't just do it to build your team resume. I mean, of course, it will build your team resume, so make it a part of your strategy. But the main point for the why hosting scrimmage is kind of the same as the why for any outreach. Find something that you love doing, that you really want to do this. And so I showed this to some of the kids at a team meeting last night. We had a discussion about plans and stuff. And the kid was, line up your outreach with what you love. This makes it not a chore, but something that gives energy back to the team. And he was like, yeah, that's totally true. They're like, oh, I'm gonna put that in quotes and make this your thing. Because that's kind of what we try to do as a team, is find things that this is what we like doing these things. And so it's not hard to do. Okay, next slide. Other things, a scrimmage can be actually part of your robot strategy for the season because nothing is testing like a real match, right? So you have to have the robot ready. It forces the whole design cycle. Well, let's try this and get it all together and then we'll test it out at a real event. And it adds a deadline. Students really respond to deadlines. And so you have to have this done. And so and they know that. So they're kind of adding this forcing function into their process. The connections, that's why we really like it. You meet so many other teams. I get to talk to other coaches, people crazy enough to do this in their spare time. They're there, you can talk to them. And you could even use it as like a strategy before an event. Hey, we want to find teams who are at our event. We'll scrimmage with them and maybe practice. And then if you find a really good team, maybe they'll pick us, or so, I mean, literally just do that on purpose. So, and you can engage other people to come to the scrimmage to try and see if they'll get excited about first. We had a scrimmage at an event where the principal of the school came and was like, wow, this is really cool. It's like, I know, so you should support this group. So, or whatever organization you're in. But so, yeah, you can engage mentors, have them get a little taste of it. It's pretty informal.
Are you able to turn on the camera and share the screen in the room so there's nothing to see remotely?
That was my fault. I apologize.
Oh, sorry, that's coming. Yeah.
How's that?
All right, thank you. And there's also a camera in the little robot pod.
Camera, the video. There we go.
Okay. So yeah, you can charge admission. You may have to if the venue is expensive. Using it as a fundraiser is not common. It's usually fairly informal, but you could do that if you wanted to plan something like that. Or you could sell concessions. That's somewhat common. And this past year, someone said, oh, why don't you have referees go? They can train up new referees at your event for the season. It's like, oh, good idea. So, maybe first Chesapeake gets involved and can provide some referees. Okay, the next thing, but mostly, next slide. Mostly, I mean, do it because it's like super fun, right? Kids get another chance to run the robot and it's a low stress environment. It's just a practice, right? It's a traveling drivers or, a lot of people after they drive the robot, they realize that's really hard. I don't think I'm gonna do it. Because it is, you know, you have to do it right then and now. So, okay, let's go on. The next is just lots of details. Oh, challenges. Yeah, well, okay, you need a field, right? So not every team buys a field. The fields are kind of expensive. You gotta have a place to set it up. There's some time involved, time away from robot building. You can need volunteers. Parents have to go there. And, you know, there's just no way around that. It takes time. So it's kind of a matter of priorities. Getting enough volunteers, really got to make sure people will commit to it and making sure other teams will attend. We'll talk about like marketing events. But the most difficult thing about the scrimmage, next slide, location, right? Where are you going to do this? Where are you going to have hosting? So, you know, and also the next slide, the date, right? Pick the date. We picked our biggest scrimmage this year. We put, and we realized, oh, it's the start of spring break. And there was an FRC event that weekend. So it was like, we still had people to go, but it was a lot smaller than we had planned for. So think about that ahead of time. But also, you don't have to get it perfectly right for just to work. So, but the location. All right, next slide on the location. And we'll get to, there's some more ideas on the location later. But okay, so this could be the last slide, right? The basics are pretty straightforward. You find a place, choose a date and avoid spring break. Get some teams to join you, decide on volunteer roles, bring and set up the field and have fun. I mean, that's it. It's like, just go through those things and that's what you have to do. So I've got some slides on details, things that we've done and tried, but at any point, jump in if you have questions. Or if you disagree, like, oh, don't do that, that doesn't work. People have tried things, so please jump in. So yeah, let's go over some details. So here's the path. I always titled this, the path to a perfect scrimmage. It's like, that's what you want to avoid, is trying to do it perfectly, because just go and have fun. So we can talk about all these different things, the strategy, planning, marketing, and advertising, preparation for setup, execution, and follow-up. But don't try to do it all or do it perfectly. I'm just going to provide some ideas. Okay, next slide. All right, so strategic elements. When they gave out some of the outreach awards at the Worlds, they were saying, this team set out the season with 3 outreach goals and they met them all. It's like, set your goals, make it a part of the plan, make the team, the whole team aware, why are we doing this? This is part of our plan because we, as a team, wanted to do these things. So make it a part of your strategy. You can also make it a part of your robot strategy, forcing that test measurement of the actual use of the robot. And I mentioned some of this before, so I don't need to go over again, but you know, practice matches and getting the students involved in the planning. Yes, you know how to plan an event, but they do not know how to plan an event. So let them send the emails, have them CC you on stuff, but they make a volunteer roster, they sign up for the roles, they check with other teams who can come, get them involved and engaged, because that's the point of this whole program, is to teach them how to do this. And decide early on how formal you want this to be. Are you going to actually score people and keep track of that? Then you'll need kind of a scoring system and some good referees and some scorekeepers. Or are you just going to run matches and have the students tallied up when you're done, and it doesn't really matter. And so any of those are fine. Just decide which one you're going to do. And I think there's ways to get it like officially listed through First Chesapeake as an official scrimmage, and then it'll actually appear in the system. I might have done that like one time. I don't. That's like I say, it's up to you to decide how formal you're going to be. And awards or trophies at our big sort of more formal event, which is almost like a tournament, we did give out some awards, but that's not necessary or common. And then like I mentioned about the referees. Okay, so planning. The biggest thing for planning is deciding what size of an event you're going to have. And so if you're going to rent a venue or get a big venue, it might cost you something. So we'll talk about venues in a little bit, but you know, small up to 4 teams, maybe have it at your meeting place. Larger event, This one was one at Rockville Makerspace. What's that?
The garage.
Yeah, that's our garage. That's where the field is constantly set up.
Yeah.
Why put cars in the garage and get a field?
Or your goals and it needs to be parked, that
They don't complain, you know what I'm saying? So, and then this is the big event we had at the end of the season, Clarksburg High School. Sealig's team has a really fun event, the March Madness at Quince Orchard High School. And so the larger event, maybe you need some experienced volunteers, people who understand the flow and where things are gonna go. All right, next slide. Okay, so location. Just brainstorm and try to come up with stuff, right? That's what I did to make this, like, okay, your own meeting place. Oh, it's very small. Oh, well, just invite the drive teams then, right? Just bring your drive team and your robot. Or find another team with a meeting place, somebody with a big house or, you know, they meet in a makerspace or something. And so team up with other teams to help run the event. Public schools, you probably need a contact inside the school. If it's their club, they might not have to pay unless you start using lots and lots of space, or, you know, sometimes they can negotiate that. Private schools, some of the private schools have teams. You definitely need someone on the inside there because they'll probably just set it up for you. Libraries, longer lead time, they're available, but you kind of have to know, you just talk to them and see what situation they have. A church, we were gonna do an outreach event at a church one time. We just cold called some people and they said, oh, they can rent our facility. It was like $75 for the day. So that was gonna be a good deal. That event actually didn't happen, but a lot of churches, there's someone there during the day anyway, pay them a little bit extra to make sure that you're behaving yourself and you're good to go. Community centers, we did one at a Muslim community center one time. That was a Sugo event, not a scrimmage, but they had the space. Or another first event, we did one this year at the FLL State Championship. We set up on the borders around the edge. We put up the field and like 7 or 8 teams came and we had scrimmages there to show the FLL kids, hey, this is what you can do next. So, all right, next slide. Planning. Consider involving another team. Yeah, get some other teams involved. That shares the workload and makes more connections. Visit the site ahead of time. Make sure you know where you're going to put everything. Make sure there's power and tables and all that. Maybe you need some areas for like the pit. You'll maybe want to set up a registration table. You know, as people come in, make sure that everybody showed up. Yeah, this is us with the Clarksburg team. We went to their school and set up the field in their cafeteria. Here's one in bold. Some teams try to tell me, oh, we got an 18-year-old on the team. That's our adult. No can do. Make sure they know you got to bring an adult with your team. I just strongly recommend that. You don't want kids, just the kids, I'll say. So that should be part of the communication aspect of it. And do you want any judging at your event? Maybe have some professionals come in and give the kids advice on their robot or presentation practice or something. And how much stuff do you want teams to bring? Are you going to give them a table? They're going to put their posters, or no, just bring the robot. We're going to have a few matches and then go home. So just figure out what kind of event you're going to run. And do teams want to bring any other outreach materials for visitors and stuff like the March Madness thing Celia did? There's chances to bring outreach robots, and we brought some to the FLL state tournament as well. All right, next slide. Planning ideas for the adults. If there's any money involved, get it all in writing. Not that you don't trust people, but just so that you have to specify who pays for what, and just so there's no surprises or weird stuff. You could even do a formal memorandum of understanding if you wanted. Event insurance. You may need this. Depends on, like, a school will have it already. I've called my insurance company multiple times just to make sure it's covered. If it's in my house, it's just considered this is something I'm doing, and so there's no special insurance needed. First Chesapeake, if it's an official event, they may be able to offer you that insurance. You can't just wing it. We've never had anything happen, but you know, something to think about. If you're winging it, you should know that you're winging it. Okay, media release forms. If you're going to be taking pictures, some schools really don't like you to take pictures of their students. And they will just say, no, you cannot do this. Teachers might not mind, we've got a picture, we did outreach event and we just took a picture of the teacher, because he said, you cannot take pictures of my students. At other events, they have just make up a media form online and have people sign it when they come in. Or you may have to send it to, you need parents to sign it, so you gotta send that out early. If it's a big event, food for volunteers, that's totally up to you. And then be ready for people who show up, like, oh, this is great, you know, what, where do I learn more? You can bring flyers. Okay, next thing. Marketing and advertising. Have the students make a flyer. This is the one for our event this March, and the Clarksburg team made that. Look it over carefully. Sometimes they forget to put anything on there like links or
Date or time.
yeah. So check it all for the details, make sure it's there, but have the students do it. And it's a chance for another connect activity. Hey, have a graphics professional look it over and give them some feedback. Google Forms useful for the sign up, and then somebody has to start tracking the submissions. Make sure they know to bring an adult. I'm going to say that again because you don't want teams to just show up with just kids. And then advertise it. There's a First Chesapeake Slack channel, teams that you know. There's an FTC Discord, like it's nationwide, so that's probably not the right venue, but the first senior mentor can send things around. There's a lot of chances to get things out and about. Okay, next slide. This is just another example. We often do a robot in 3 weeks thing in the early season. This is another flyer that made and the students made up an email to send around. Hey, we're having this event. Here's the details. Let us know if you can sign up. So get the kids involved, have them do some of these things. Okay, next slide. This is just another sample document the kids made. Here's the schedule. Here's the roles. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but you know, that way people know what to expect, and people who are volunteering have kind of a roster. Okay, preparation, fill out the roster, get teams to sign up, encourage teams to come even if they're not ready. There's gonna be a lot of teams, oh, we're not ready for the scrimmage. Well, just come anyway, you can try different things, or you can work on the robot and talk to us. So that's definitely gonna happen. And so bring the field and your tools. You might want a scorekeeping app, or sometimes teams make them available on the phone. You can set up the whole system if you want. We've done that a couple times. That takes a little bit more preparation, but it's possible. And you can live stream if you want. We've done that. It's not that difficult. A lot of kids know how to do that, and they just love to do it anyway. We had one event where we had 2 live streams. It's like, well, I want to live stream. We had 2 teams helping, and they both wanted to live stream. So, okay. And yeah, you have to get your own team ready too, so that, you know, that makes it a little more complicated, but like I said, it's all fun. And so this was an event that we held here last fall in this room right over there, and it had some referees that came. So yeah, execution right before, send out reminders, let people know of any of the details. And if it's not a very formal event, teams are just going to drop at the last second. Yeah, we're not ready. We're not coming. So be ready for that. Don't be disappointed. It's pretty normal. And plan for plenty of matches in case you have extra time, and you might need to amplify for announcing things. It's something to put the scores on. These are just, you know, details. If you forget any of this, it really doesn't matter. Just some ideas. And yeah, pictures at the end are fun. Get all teams together. Hey, we did it. This is cool. All right, last one. About that. Follow up. Yeah, square up on money stuff. Send thank yous, and it's good to send a picture to the hosts or anybody who's involved in helping, like the facility or whatever. Make sure that you appreciate. Hey, thank you for letting us use this. Sometimes Shelley likes to know what's going on. You can send her an update. Lost and found. It's kids. There's going to be stuff. So. Okay, next slide. I think that's about it.
You got
What's that?
5 more.
Oh, okay.
Your kids added a lot of slides ago.
This is just a few pointers. If you want, you could bring an outreach bot, something for people to drive around while they're looking at the matches. Outreach bots need to be robust. They're gonna be slammed into everything. Next slide. I think it skipped one.
I did, sorry.
Oh, yeah. One thing you can do is have professionals come and just offer advice to the kids. This neighbor was an FTC judge, so it's like, hey, come over and watch the presentations and give kids feedback. So that was pretty useful. And the next one on pointers. We did one this spring where we had the students be the judges. We ran more of like a formalized tournament, and we said, all right, for this event, the students are the judges, so sign up if you want to be on the other side of the table. And we made up our own rubrics, and we had a student training Zoom session, and it took a lot of extra time. We had more students sign up to do that than teams that wanted to go. So, because that was the spring break collision thing, but that was really fun. The kids really enjoyed it, and they got to meet the people in the high five line and gave out, a little stuff. So that was really popular. So if other people wanted to do that, I think people would appreciate it. Okay, I think we really are almost done. These are just some examples. This is the scrimmage at the FLL state tournament. And next slide. Yeah, this is it. So just try it, right? You can't really go wrong. It's a scrimmage. Nobody really cares. It's just informal. And so get people together, have some fun. And there's again the slides. So got 5 minutes left, time for questions. Yeah, Sealand.
What advice would you give anyone who's never hosted a scrimmage before? You went from really small to really large. For someone who's just starting out, what would you recommend to someone?
Start with a small one. Have teams come over to your place, and then maybe try to run a formal match or two there just to see what it's like. The other thing you could do is just go volunteer at an event, a bigger event, where you get to see what all the different pieces that have to happen. If you really want to learn how to run an event, shadow an event coordinator at a qualifier, right? There's everything. So pits and pit admin and power and volunteer food and the script for the announcing and, so that really helps you get the whole picture. But just start small or do something fun. Just have another team come over. Hey, let's have some matches. And like I said, it's too small a space, just have the drive teams come or whatever. Yeah.
How do you get teams to sign up?
Like we've sent things to Shelley and she has sent things around. Probably everybody got spammed so many times for our March event because we were desperately looking for people. We kept asking, please advertise this again, please. So other times it's just teams that we happen to know. We just invite everybody that we know or we can think of, and we tell your friends. So we end up knowing like the teams that are close to us. We tend to know who they are, and so we always invite them. So having sister team relationships is fun. There's a couple of teams that will come and use our field routine, like so.
You can advertise them at kickoff events, I suppose, and just,
Yeah.
if you do host a kickoff event, say, hey, see you again, and.
Right.
3 weeks.
Bring that flyer to an event, right? We've done that at kickoff for our robot in 3 weeks thing. Here's in 3 weeks, bring what you got and we'll test it out.
Right, one strategy I've employed for this medium to large scrimmage is we try to privately reach out to, a few teams and get a sort of foundation of enough teams that are coming. So that way we open up to a larger group. People are saying, oh, who's coming? Oh, we already have these 4 teams lined up. And so suddenly because nobody wants to be the first team to commit.
Right.
So we found sometimes that usually can help. Get a foundation before you go broad.
Yeah. Most of ours have been small. Come to the garage. We can hold 4 teams. And it's better if it's nice outside because then you just stand there.
But I just want to comment on, absolutely, if you can, do something regarding judging, like if it's close to before competition. And so I liked your idea about the student judging, but students, because judging happens behind closed doors, you never get to see what other teams do unless you do it at an event like this. And I liked your idea about giving feedback on presentation. are so handcuffed.
They can't really tell. the kid what to-
Yeah, all you know about war is what's read in the war script. Awesome. Thank you for presenting.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, thank you all for coming. I'll be around if you have any questions. And, you know, slides are available.
Thank you.